Does OnlyFans ruin your life? And let me tell you the short answer. Of course, it does. Horribly. Especially if you do it very, very long term. But I don't know if this video is pro or anti OnlyFans, so I'm interested.
The amount of people that have sent me and my husband death, the amount of people who have sent my husband things from my past consistently, week by week, is like so hard for him to deal with. And then for me to be...
Yeah, no shit, because they think they own you because you've given them everything of your body, pictures, videos, everything, just by them paying you some money. And those kinds of retards, you shouldn't be surprised if they somehow come out being criminals and murderers, right? And also, I've seen this woman somewhere. I think it was on the Whatever podcast. She was acting crazy with her tongue out.
Like ashamed about, because I'm constantly being reminded of the things I've done when I just want to live.
I'm an OnlyFans model and a mom of 4.
Is it really that bad if you're an OF creator? I mean, you'll never feel like you want for love because it's like being in a relationship with thousands of people. It's one of those rare cases where you can meet someone in public and they recognize you, but they also know what you look like.
Hey, listen, I have a very close friend who's a YouTuber. I know another guy who's a YouTuber. They're known for very different stuff, and they still sometimes feel anxious when people meeting them. Imagine somebody meeting you because they know you from fucking OnlyFans. Those are not fans. Those are people who want to grape you, okay? You know what I mean.
Beneath your clothes. And that's probably the first thing they think about when they see you. Can you imagine someone walking up to you and they say, hey, I know you. I watch you on OF. You're my favorite creator. Or maybe you're out of that industry and you're trying to move on with your life and you keep getting reminded of it, or you try to sign up for a job or something and your employers find out that you used to open your legs for millions of people all over the world. And suddenly they're like, you know what? I don't think you're going to be a right fit for this brand,
shit.
even though you're no longer doing those things. But you probably feel like you have to go back and do it again because the only jobs that will take you are jobs that you don't necessarily want to do. Like doing.
And there's a lot of people, especially liberals, like crazy liberals, not the normal liberals, that go crazy over this. Why would they? Well, it's the same logic as in why would I employ somebody who has a criminal past? Right? Well, then I'm not gonna employ somebody who has done online prostitution, which is what OnlyFans is, okay? I don't give a fuck. I don't want crazy retards who want to grape her to come to my business because they know she works there, okay? Please, no.
A service for people like picking up trash or giving people a Happy Meal. Maybe you end up in a happy relationship until your boyfriend's friends recognize you or his parents. No more happy relationship. And there's a lot of discussion about this and people wondering, oh, is it really that bad if you are that kind of content creator? Because in your mind, you're probably giving people a service that is required, and it's no different than somebody
a service that's required. No, you're disservicing those people. Those people should be trying to go out and find fucking partners themselves, okay? They shouldn't be wasting their finances on someone being naked online, okay? You have free corn if you want it that badly.
sings or entertains people for a living. You're just doing it in a very special way.
To own a salon, and now I'm making over $50,000 a month.
I think there is 100% a stigma around being an OnlyFans model who is a mom.
Oh, those poor kids.
And a lot of people might be confused and wonder, what is the big issue with airing out my back door for millions of people to see? I mean, it's my body. I should have the right to express myself the way I want to and use my body the way I want in order to get...
Yeah, let all of your cousins and male friends and possibly your grandpa seeing your naked fucking asshole. That's...
I want.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right? Unfortunately, yes, the kind of work that's tied to, you cannot escape from that. For the longest while, people who do spicy work are always seen as the scarlet letter wearers, and people have made arguments saying that that kind of work is misunderstood and criminalized. And Western society, especially, carries centuries of shame that's rooted in religion, patriarchal, and colonial traditions. That's the argument that people are making to explain why it's archaic that people would look down on people like this.
Women are the gatekeepers of sex. Everybody knows this. And if women use their power of, attractive women, use their power of their physical attractiveness for finances, that is seen as low. The same as, we see a rich businessman fucking killing 100 people and destroying lives just to better his business and make more millions. Nobody's looking at that and saying, yeah, that makes sense. That's moral. No, it's fucking not, okay?
And while it might be unfair for people to put a stigma on this, sometimes, just sometimes, stigmas exist for a reason. Well, to understand why it's a stigma in the first place, we first have to understand human beings as a species and why their psychology and their biology and how that plays a part in how humans think and the repercussions or consequences of certain actions within society. First of all, the internet has completely flipped how we think about love and relationships. Yes, I agree that people should be free to do what they want with their own bodies, but if we're talking about the effect of platforms like Tinder and OnlyFans,
people should be free to do whatever they want with their bodies as long as all of those people are aware that when there's extra freedom, there's also extra problems that may come up. When you give people more freedom to do whatever they want to do, you're giving a lot of people more freedom to do a lot of crazy shit that might fuck up, you know, your society. And a lot of that stuff you might not see coming, and there's no law for that. And even if you knew it, there wouldn't be a law for that because you want freedom. And I am for freedom of speech. There's not that much freedom of speech where I come from. But I am for, you know, freedom of, you know, doing whatever the fuck you want to do with your body as long as you're an adult, and freedom of speech and all this stuff. But with that always comes consequences, and you, with your freedom of everything, should be aware of that and do the best decision possible. That's it, okay? Freedom with having basic human morals and understanding of how society and the world works.
On human being society, technically, we're not really built for this. Not biologically, and not emotionally or socially either. And a lot of people also believe that the more that we normalize this stuff, especially without thinking critically, is the more we're getting all kind of like, weird. And I think the argument can be made back in our ancestors' times, like prehistoric times, being intimate and love and all that stuff was kind of connected, and your brain would release these chemicals when you got physically close to someone. You get close to that person, and then your body starts releasing oxytocin and dopamine and all that good stuff, and all that does is help you bond and trust and stick around with that person. That's how we survived as a species. Now people are existing in a world where your brain is being hit with the same chemicals, watching strangers on screens or performing for people.
It's like being on sex drugs 24/7. Like, you can go on OnlyFans, you can go on Instagram, you can go even on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and see half naked or fully naked women, right? You can also watch porn, and your brain is like on drugs 24/7. And then, hey, guess what? Now you're having problems with falling in love, which is, hey, I started watching, the first time I saw porn was, I think I was like 11, and I've never really fully stopped. Like, I've minimalized it so much now as a grown adult who has a lot of work to do throughout his day, but still, that shit has fucked me up, and I still haven't fallen in love. I'm part of the problem, but hey, I was, you know, part of the problem way before I was even aware that stuff like this might impact my life that much in the future, because I was a child.
You don't even know, and yeah, as a result, it kind of messes with your ability to connect in real life, and you end up feeling numb and burnt out, and you're like, why can't I find a date? Or you're just straight up not interested in anyone anymore, or anything real or breeding, because you're getting this constant high on stimulation without having to build real emotional closeness and do any of the work. So that rewires your whole reward system, and why would you bother going for a relationship when you get the same dopamine high out of just watching some woman online and then you're beating your crock without having to deal with the drama? Same thing with the women. If they're getting the same dopamine response by getting resources, they don't have to pair themselves with a dude because they can just do whatever they do and show their stuff, and people just give them money and give them attention, and they get
they think they have all the fucking power. They think they can do whatever they find. Hey, listen, there's still men out there working and maintaining the fucking society, infrastructure, fucking bridges, fucking everything, okay? No, I'm not seeing anybody, any ex-OnlyFans model who made their money, and she's like, okay, now because I know I'm a very capable feminist who made their money, now I'm gonna help society by, you know, doing social work or something, or being a construction worker.
From that, then it kind of replaces the need to go out there and find a mate to build a life with.
Yeah, that as well.
So here you have it. I'm not necessarily talking about the whole body count conversation, because that's a whole different thing. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you do repeatedly hook up or perform snooky with people, and you're constantly doing it over and over again, whether that be physically or you're watching it, you're kind of doing the deed and getting the same dopamine response without real connection.
The more you do that, the less likely you'll be to fall in love. Trust me. That shit is fucking horrible, and it doesn't apply to everybody, but I see it a lot as a general rule. Listen to that, and please try to not, give yourself to too many people, okay? Especially very early on.
And over time, your brain stops associating that action of being with someone with closeness or love. It just becomes something that you do. It becomes a transaction. That basically is what society has become, and it feels great. Not gonna lie, it feels amazing when you're watching that content. You're like, oh, this is easy. I don't have to worry about it. I have to ask someone to spread their legs just so I can get a nut off. I can just do what I gotta do and keep it moving and don't get all the drama and blah, blah, blah. But fast forward a few years and you have people that don't know how to date. They don't know how to talk to each other. Nobody knows how to talk to each other anymore. It's like the society has become so connected through social media and the internet, but yet they're so disconnected because you're existing in a state of mental and social castration where you...
Here's some advice from me. What I've noticed, a lot of people that I meet on the street, like in the store, supermarket, whatever, right, that I have to talk with, and a lot of the times, if it's young males, they're so fucking anxious, and not everybody, a lot of them are very anxious and weird and just don't know how to communicate. Meanwhile, here I am making videos in my second language. Still, a tip for everybody, make sure to do activities that involve a lot of people. And yeah, you can go to the gym alone, but my first example is gonna be the gym, because you will be forced from time to time to speak with somebody, and maybe from extended amount of time, you'll make a few connections, okay? You'll get used to those few, 5, 10 girls who you always see at that time, at that day in the gym, and a lot, or when you ask, hey, can we switch on this exercise and so on, it awakens your social intelligence. Let me put it that way, okay? You need more socialization with more people in order to be, actually able to speak with somebody who you're romantically interested in, and you want to do something more with them, okay? If you're a fucking isolated weirdo who's anxious to talk to normal people, there's no way you're gonna just go out there and somehow approach somebody you're romantically interested in.
Depend on everything
you gotta level up
and get from online to make you happy instead of the reward center of doing it in real life with real bodies. Then you put stuff like the chatbots into the mix, and boom, you can create intimacy there too. There's this whole other argument about women.
People who are intimate with their chatbots, please seek therapy. Please seek fucking therapy. And if you don't have the money, ask your chatbot how to make the money if he's that or she is or it's that helpful.
And not knowing how to treat men and vice versa. And I get it, if you don't have to because you can get the same result somewhere else much easier, why would you put in the work when you could just call off? You want a real flesh and body, you could just go on Tinder, someone comes over, they smash, they leave, you do it all over again with someone else, and Bob's your uncle. Or maybe he's not. And men are wired to chase novelty, but they're meant to chase it in the real world, but that's completely hijacked, so now they're chasing it digitally or at their fingertips. Women no longer have to work to emotionally bond to anyone because they're having all these casual encounters, and it's just bouncing around from person to person. You're not even
basically even the least attractive women, like I just saw a video of a guy who like dressed up in a woman in 24 hours, and mind you, she looked fucking disgusting. I'm gonna give you guys a link to that video in the description if you want to watch it. It's funny as fuck. But he got 1.2 thousand matches, well, not matches, but likes in 24 hours. And it's like, so even the least attractive women are getting fucking every single man, well, most men, because most men can't even get an average or some girl that's on his level, just because that girl thinks she's the fucking boss. She can own every guy she wants to, just because of that, a lot of that fake validation online.
Dual encounters, and it's just bouncing around from person to person. You're not even in the same tribe. That person doesn't have your back. If you're sleeping outside and someone decides to shit on your head, no one's gonna be there to help you.
But yet I keep things I've done when I just want to live. I'm out of it now. I know I'm out of it, but yet I keep getting brought back to that.
Why do you think they want to punish you so much?
I don't quite know. I really can't wrap my head around it. I would never send anybody anything that was that hateful.
And it's kind of sad because humans didn't evolve to be seen by hundreds and thousands and millions of people, especially when you're naked and you're most vulnerable. Like, that's supposed to be something private. And honestly, humans are the kind of creatures that are made to exist in very small tribes or societies.
Like, with the advent of technology and social media, we basically went from, you know, our primitive brains working the way they're supposed to now all of a sudden having a million people at our disposal online giving us hate, praise, wanting to do stuff to us. And it's a lot for the brain in like 20, 30 years to just get used to that stuff. You know, you need years, decades, centuries of brain evolution, if you want to call it evolution. Adaptation is a better word, I'd say, to, you know, get used to this stuff.
Where they can depend on each other and bond with each other. That's why if you look at cities now, wherever there's way too many Homo sapiens crushed into one area or overpopulated, there's usually an influx of crime.
Not every city is like this. It depends a lot on the society, on the education of the people, on the mentality of the average person over there. Okay, Oslo, even though I think Oslo has the same amount of people that the city that I live in has. Oslo and the city that I live in, huge. My city looked like a fucking dystopia in the winter. Oslo, Norway. Holy shit!
Because there's no accountability. Why would there be? There's too many of you. You can disappear into the crowd. You can't control all those people. There's no tight-knit communities because there's so many people. Plus, with the influx of the population and these people being crammed together, you're going to have more hostile situations because there's so many people packed together that don't know each other.
Especially the poorer the person is, the less educated the person is, how the person grew up and what kind of conditions and all this stuff with what kind of parents, what his perception of a good society is. All this stuff matters. Of will he or she do any fucked up criminal shit?
From varying tribes from all over in an unnatural environment where they're not out in the wild and living naturally as humans have been intended to and how they evolved to. And you'll notice that whenever there's a stigma, it is usually something tied in biology by the way that humans react to things. I mean, when you really sit down and think about it, these stigmas usually stem from something biological. A stigma is a very strong or most of the time negative social reaction to someone who is perceived different or threatening or not normal or not like the rest of us. And it can be about your behavior, where you come from, your appearance. There are a lot of these that are programmed responses, yes, but many of these are biologically programmed responses that are tied to survival instincts from when human beings lived in small tribal and vulnerable groups. And the problem is our instincts has not really evolved as fast as society has.
That's exactly what I said. Well, she's giving a more broader, you know, example. I just mentioned it with the advent of the internet and social media.
Technology and industrialization and all that. So some of that ancient wiring is still messing with everything. We haven't caught up to what we were able to achieve. Our instincts are very much a part of it. That's why we can't get past freaking politics and all that crap that doesn't really matter, because at the core, human beings are still living as cavemen in our minds.
Fact.
I mean, think about it for a second. The stigma around body size, whether you're too fat or too skinny. Someone who is way too thin is seen as sick or malnourished or dying or has some kind of disease. Not a good mate, not a strong...
You know why? Because thousands of years ago in a tribe, if you see somebody who's overly skinny, they're not fit to fucking, you know, work on the farm or hunt or whatever, right? They're seen as a liability. And throughout the years, and it's also unhealthy, throughout the years, we have learned to see that in that way, and that's why there's a stigma for it. And, you know, it's not bad. And we're not hating those people, we're just saying, hey, you should get better, okay? You need to get better.
An ally you can depend on to help
Same
you.
with fat
On the flip
people.
side, being too fat,
Yeah,
even though body fat
is
is
that?
a good thing, because you had energy
Build a time machine, go thousands of years in the past, try and find somebody like this.
reserves. Way too much.
If you
Signals
do,
that you have low physical endurance,
I'll give you
reduced
all my
mobility,
possessions.
Something is wrong with
It's not
you.
a lot.
Increased likelihood of disease.
Maybe it's
heart
not worth
issues,
it.
hormonal imbalance, which can affect fertility, and so people have subconscious red flags going on about that. And when people try to explain this, they see it as, oh, you're not supposed to talk about this. That's not fair. Nobody's trying to be mean. It's primitive brain logic. It's not that people are personally judging people and being mean to them just
No, everybody's personally judging people. Just judging by itself isn't always a bad thing, okay? You are alive right now because somebody from your ancestors, like 2,000, 3,000 years ago, judged that bush seemed sus, and he was right because there was a fucking lion there, and he started running, okay? And sometimes if you're walking in the middle of the city and somebody is looking sus as fuck, you're like, hey, let me cross the road on this other side next to these, security guards next to this casino, even though, they're not there for me. Still, this other guy seems very sus. But yeah, some people are just judgmental just to be hateful, like seeing a fat or a skinny person and just telling them that they're fat and skinny. That just shows more about you and you being insecure about being that size or not being that size than the other person, okay?
be mean to them. There's usually a reason for this. And you usually see the effects of
the
it.
most praised people in the gym most of the time are the fattest, like the most obese people. Like, I do it all the time. I praise them so fucking much. They're the fucking bravest people in the gym. And I know a lot of them are very anxious and feel bad because, they're a huge outlier in the gym. They're not. Trust me, you guys, you're not. You're actually fucking bosses and you're killing it, okay? Just continue doing what you're doing. And if you need help by anybody, well, 90% of people, especially guys, in the gym, if you're a guy, you can ask for help and you will receive help, no problem.
Like, what
My
if someone is so freaking obese to the point where they can't move and their body is rotting out from underneath them, they can't breathe, and their heart can't pump normally and they need oxygen, you cannot tell me health at every freaking size. You cannot then call people fat phobic for looking at this and thinking, hot damn, don't think
The health at every freaking size is the biggest fucking propaganda for the fast food industry to keep growing and growing and to destroy everybody out there, for them to make more money, and then for the country and the medical sector to make more and more money from these dumbass people believing in this.
I want that as a mate. There's those same stigmas against skin color and ethnic appearance.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
stupid.
talking about something that comes from racism in the modern political sense,
No.
but the biological root of this is tribalism. Because for tens and thousands of years, humans lived in very small and tight-knit tribes, and outsiders or people who didn't look like your family usually meant danger.
True,
People
yeah.
who didn't look like you or sound like you or behave like you might have brought disease, violence, or competition for resources. So human evolution was basically like, ooh, I'm suspicious of that person, it's not from my group, possibly a threat. The fact that humans have very violent and aggressive tendencies is seen in all this research, and the fact that we even see even modern day apes competing and fighting with each other can give us some possible insight into why human beings act the way they do. And this instinct is why people now feel uneasy around strangers or unfamiliar faces. It's the same reason why people might feel more comfortable marrying within their culture, not necessarily out of hate, but from this deeply embedded sense of safety
I agree.
and predictability.
Yeah. And if you wanna, date somebody who's your race because you're more attracted to white or blacks, or you're attracted to somebody from your religion or your race or culture or whatever, that shouldn't be seen as hateful towards the other people. That's just what you like. The same as me saying, hey, I like women. That doesn't mean that I hate men, okay? Just shut the fuck up.
And we all are educated enough to know that, yeah, obviously if you're a different skin color, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to eat someone or take their food. Probably not. But for a lot of
It's not about skin color, it's about societal conditioning, education, and so many other societal factors that impact how you think, how you act. Centuries of brainwashing from culture or religion or part of the world you lived in, and all of your ancestors thought this way. It takes a few generations for somebody to change. It's not about fucking race, it's about sociology. And if somebody disagrees with me, tell me in the comments.
humans, that hasn't updated yet. That part of their biology hasn't updated yet.
Yeah.
And that goes with a lot of things. The stigma around disabilities and all that stuff, you're not getting rid of those. And so yeah, this brings us back to the spicy content stuff.
If I was doing this or if I wasn't, they would still have to deal with the fact that they have a hot mom. I also think that because my kids are little badasses, that they'll whoop somebody's butt for talking crap on their mom.
What the hell?
trust me.
If you as a person are seeing this mom and saying hell yeah, please never be a parent, because no parent, especially a fucking mom, should never be saying, oh yeah, my kids, they're gonna physically assault somebody because they saw my naked fucking pictures online. Hell no. No, your kids, if they actually grow up being normal functioning adults, they're gonna hate their lives. Just because, well, hopefully they're not gonna hate their lives, but they're gonna hate the fact that tons of people online know their mom naked, and yeah, I'm just not.
I do
I'm not
think
gonna
it's
continue
also
that
unfair
sentence.
for women to be judged by a completely different standard than men are judged. I absolutely hate it. But if we're talking about biology, and in the case of evolutionary terms, the reason why this whole promiscuity thing is so taboo in the first place, especially to men, why they don't respect that, or they don't trust it, or they look down on it, is because a woman who sleeps with a lot of partners usually means that if they have a child, it is unclear who the father is, and that is a threat to the male investment in the offspring.
That makes sense. Evolutionary.
And also, on the flip side, this is another thing
Evolutionary, that makes sense if that's where the stigma came from. What I said was women are the gatekeepers of sex, so this is why this stigma comes. This also makes a lot of
Men
sense.
don't escape from it either. A man who sleeps around, possible lack of loyalty, unstable pair bond, threat to raising children successfully because he'll just take off and go somewhere else. Now that is a little bit more excused if the guy has a lot of resources and many females, because that means he can take care of many of them at the same time.
Yeah, because in ancient times, that's how it worked. Now in modern times, that's not really looked upon as in, you know, that's very attractive as a couple. You know, this guy has millions, he's got 20 wives, 60 kids, and it's not, you know, it's just not. I don't like it personally. I'm sorry.
What was the point of you babbling on about that? Seriously. Because a lot of these creators end up coming out here and crying either when they enter this kind of work or they exit it because they're wondering, why are people like this and why are people treating me like this?
Like, she hates her life so much, that's what she said in this video, because she's now feeling numb. She hates men. She can't unsee men as fucking disgusting little animals. Why? Because those are the kinds of men she found on OnlyFans. And now she can't date any single man possible, even though that's not what reality is for the average man.
And they don't understand why they just can't live their life and do whatever they want to do and then come back after they're all done and then find a partner who will love them and respect them, or who will have an issue with people negatively perceiving them for their choices, because everyone should just accept what they do. They also get mad that when they try to go back out in the dating world, people don't want to settle down or do the bare minimum for them. But why should they? If they exist in a world where they can just get everything for free, and the OnlyFans
contributed to that.
OnlyFans creators will come out and say, well, it's not fair because the same men who are judging you are the same men who watch your content. That is true. But the more you make the content is the more men end up watching it, is the more men end up downplaying the respect you should give to women, is the more they're like, why should I?
Well, it's very weird and like funny at the same time that a lot of women say, there's no good men out there. All men are fucking horrible and disgusting. All they want is you to just, for them to just fuck you and that's it. But at the same time, they say sex work, OnlyFans, corn, there's nothing wrong with it, and women should be praised about it. Okay then, well, that creates these kinds of men that you say that are so fucking horrible. Okay, so like, come on, we both have to work on this. Okay, that's not only men are at fault or only women are at fault. Okay, that's fucking childish.
Even bother respecting women, I don't need them because I can get 100 of them at the tip of my fingers anyway. And then the same men who are always talking about
this is making me triggered. I don't know why. I need to calm down.
Doomed are the same ones going out there and supporting these people,
what is that?
And straight up creating the very problem mentally ill is plaguing their society. Meanwhile, they're directly contributing to it. Make it make sense. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting topic because everyone's always guessing around, but seem to not get the psychology or the biology behind why certain things exist the way they do. But that is why. That being said, do whatever you want, have whatever job you want. But just like any other occupation that you choose that has hazards and consequences for—
have the freedom of doing whatever the fuck you want to do, but no, with more freedom comes more bad consequences, as I said.
For example, if you work in construction, you might have back and knee issues, you might fall. If you work as an electrician, you probably at one point in your life are going to get electrocuted, possibly die. If you're a policeman or a firefighter, you're going to be away for long hours. It's possible. It's possible that your relationship might not last if you're with a woman who needs you to be around, Or if you're in the military as a man or a woman and you're going to be gone for long periods of time, it is possible that you're risking your relationship being open to someone else because your partner will get lonely. There's just certain things that come with certain environments or occupations.
Great
it just is what it is.
explanation.
And the same thing goes for spicy content workers. Just understand that when you're giving your goods away, that you are sacrificing and speccing into something that you won't be able to come back from later. You can live like a king, just understand that you probably are gonna end up lonely like one.
Based. So fucking based. Hey, I didn't know if this video is gonna be very pro or anti OnlyFans, but hey, she was based. Make sure to subscribe to Alteori. She talks about a lot of different stuff. So yeah, see you in the next video.